In Britain, during the 1890s, over 1 million servants kept the machinery of daily life moving. 1 in every 3 working women finds herself in service, scrubbing, polishing, hauling, or waiting on wealth that isn't her own. London alone shelters thousands of them, squeezing into narrow beds beneath attics, cellars and kitchens, where footsteps must stay silent and their presence unseen. Newspapers list the numbers with detached objectivity, but behind each figure is a person rising before dawn, lungs filling with coal dust, hands cracked from soap and frost. The empire's capital gleams with gaslight and progress, yet its foundation rests on backs bent low in darkness. The city itself is harsh in these years. Coal smoke hangs like a second sky, drifting through narrow streets and pressing into lungs. Horses stamp and snort, filling gutters with muck. Disease clings to crowded alleys, and even the houses of the wealthy cannot fully keep it out. For them, comfort means distance. Distance from dirt, from labour, from effort itself. And that distance is bridged only by servants, by you and thousands like you who rise each day before their employers even stir. If you enjoy these stories, a like or a subscription means more than you think. It directly supports the channel and keeps these long journeys alive. Now settle deeper into your blankets, let your breath slow, and together we'll slip into the journey together. The fire glows brighter, painting the kitchen walls with shifting amber. The house above sleeps on, oblivious, while you kneel on the hard stone floor, breath misting in the faint warmth. A new day has begun. The bell had woken you, brass, sharp, unyielding. Its vibration still lingers in your chest, like an aftershock. You push away the thin blanket that never warms you fully, feet striking the splintered boards. The chill climbs your legs as you grope for stockings, the wool rough and damp with yesterday's sweat. Your body resists, muscles stiff from scrubbing stairs and carrying coal, but habit moves you faster than thought. A pause means lateness. Lateness means trouble. The chamber pot is the first burden, porcelain cool and heavy in your grip. It sloshes as you steady it against your hip, the smell rising sharp enough to sting your eyes. Down the narrow stair you go, shadows swallowing your steps, plaster walls breathing out their damp chill. The air grows colder as you reach the scullery, stone flags leaching heat from your feet. You set the pot aside, grateful to be rid of it, though the odour clings stubbornly to your skin. At the pump you lean with both arms, shoulders protesting. The iron handle bites your palms as you force it down, over and over. Water groans into the bucket in uneven gushes, splashing your wrists, numbing your bones. The sound echoes, hollow, like the heartbeat of a sleeping house. Above you, silence. Behind you, darkness. Only the rhythm of the pump assures you the world is turning. London itself is stirring faintly beyond the walls. A cartwheel grinds over cobblestones. A horse snorts. A distant watchman whistles into the fog. The smells drift in too. Coal smoke, cabbage from a nearby alley, the faint sweet tang of spilled gin. You cough once, softly, tasting soot at the back of your throat. Your lungs feel older than your years. Histories disagree about the exact hour servants were roused. 4 o'clock? 5? Some houses kept special night maids to tend the fire before anyone else stirred. Records suggest variety, but one thing never wavered. The bell, relentless, commanding, its echo dragging you from dreams of warmth no matter the hour. You kneel at the range, arranging kindling with trembling fingers. Flint strikes steel, sparks, stutter. At last a fragile glow catches. You cup your hands around it, shielding it from the draught. Light blooms, a star trembling into life. Smoke curls upward, stinging your eyes, and soon flame licks at the coal. Heat rises, faint, hesitant, then spreads, filling the small kitchen with the first whisper of warmth. The contrast is cruel. Above you, feather beds cocoon sleeping bodies. Quilts trap heat, silk curtains shut out the cold. Their breathing is slow, easy, untroubled. You imagine them rolling gently in dreams. unaware of the girl downstairs on her knees in ash. Your world is smoke, stone, and sore hands. Theirs is velvet and silence. The kitchen reveals itself by firelight. Pots hang in neat rows, copper glinting with warped reflections. A candle guttering in its dish throws shadows across the ceiling beams, dark shapes stretching like fingers. You glimpse yourself in a dented pan, pale face, hair straggled loose, a smear of soot across your cheek. The reflection startles you, as if another servant is staring back. Tasks call before thought can linger. You set boots in a line by the hearth, black leather thirsty for polish. You lay bread near the embers, heat swelling its crust. You place cloth on the table, smoothing wrinkles with the edge of your palm, each movement practiced, efficient, the rhythm of necessity. Your fingers smart with old blisters. As you tie the apron tighter, shoulders ache from yesterday's endless stairs. A faint draught curls under the kitchen door, making you shiver despite the growing fire. Still you work, your body settling into the repetition. If you pause, you can almost feel the city holding its breath. Outside, fog presses against windows, muffling sound. Inside, silence weighs heavy, broken only by the crackle of coal. It is a silence of waiting, of expectation. Soon the house will stir, bells will ring again, footsteps will demand attention. But for this brief moment, you alone hold the house alive. Without you, it remains a shell. With you, it begins to breathe. You think of others, maids in neighbouring houses, hundreds rising in similar darkness, thousands across the city, some as young as 12, hands already raw with labour, some dreaming of escape, others too tired even to imagine. Records tell of those who stumbled, who fainted, who were sent away with no reference. But they tell too of the quiet bonds formed in kitchens and laundries, whispers of laughter, bread shed in secret. Even in hardship, threads of kindness ran through. Your own stomach growls faintly now, but no food waits for you yet. Only tasks, only flame, only the slow pulse of another day beginning. Above, the household sleeps on. Below, you are already awake. Your breath misting in the kitchen's glow. The bell has rung, and there is no turning back. The bucket's handle cuts into your palms as you carry it from the pump. Water sloshes cold against the rim, splattering your skirt and dampening the coarse cloth. Your fingers burn where the iron rubs, skin already chafed, blistered in old places, hardened in others. The weight pulls your shoulders forward until your spine aches, but you do not dare set it down too soon. There is always more to haul: water for washing, water for boiling, water for scrubbing. Every task begins with this weight. You stagger into the scullery, setting the bucket by the stone sink. Muscles scream in relief, but only for a heartbeat. Already the coal waits. 2 scuttles by the door, black dust rising like smoke each time you shift them. The particles cling to your cuffs, to your nails, to the damp corners of your throat. You try not to cough. Coughing wastes strength. Coughing draws the butler's ear if he passes too early. The coal is heavier than the water. Each lump clinks against the metal scuttle, bruising your wrists as you drag it across the floor. The hearth consumes it greedily. You kneel again, feeding black stones into the flames until they catch, hissing, and the fire swells hotter, brighter. The glow paints your arms in shifting bronze, makes the sweat bead on your temple even though the air around you still cuts cold. A rat scurries in the corner, its claws ticking against wood. You flinch, then swallow it down. Rats are no surprise here. They gnaw at scraps, dart between the pantry door and the coal pile. You once heard of a housemaid dismissed for screaming at one. No one wants noise before the family rises. Quiet hands, quiet feet, that is the rule. Some records suggest scullery maids carried more than 24 buckets a day, each up steep, narrow stairs. Others claim fewer, but always enough to warp the spine and stiffen the knees before age 30. Letters hint at servants who grew stooped and bent long before middle years. You wonder how long your own back will hold. The next task calls you ashes. The range leaves behind grey mounds that must be scooped, cooled, carried out into the yard. The ash pan is heavy and awkward, spilling dust that coats your apron, whitening the fabric like frost. The yard itself is wet from last night's drizzle, flagstones slick, air sharp with the sour tang of cabbage from a neighbour's refuse heap. You dump the ash quickly, glancing toward the alley. The city's hum is louder here. A cart creaks by, its wheels grinding. A driver snapping his whip. The smell of horse manure wafts sharp and fresh, mixing with coal and damp stone. You re-enter the kitchen, wiping your forehead with the back of your sleeve. The fire is stronger now, a steady pulse in the room. Still, your skin prickles with chill where your clothes are wet. You shiver, then move again. There is no pausing, no lingering. Work waits in layers, each job folded atop the next. The memory of warmth teases you. Once during a rare half-day you'd pressed close to a kettle and let the steam fog your face, eyes closed, pretending it was sunlight. That memory returns as you pass the kettle now, steam hissing softly into the air. But today there is no chance to linger. Already you hear the faint creak of floorboards overhead. Someone is stirring in the house above. The day is advancing. You return to the water bucket, lifting it again, carrying it to the wash basin where linens will soon soak. The cloth is stiff with yesterday's grime, smudged with soot, sweat, grease. Your knuckles crack as you plunge them into the cold water, scrubbing, twisting, wringing. Soap bites into your skin, stinging where small cuts already bloom. The rhythm is harsh. Soak, scrub, twist, pound. It echoes like a drum beat, keeping time with your own pulse. A door creaks. You freeze, ears straining. Only the butler, perhaps, checking the clock in the hall. His steps fade, but your breath still races. He notices everything. Dust on the banister, crumbs on the carpet, hesitation in your work. One glance from him can mean a rebuke before the entire staff. You work faster, heart still pounding. Cloth slaps against stone, water splashes your apron. The sting of soap grows sharper, but you bite it back. Pain is no excuse. Above, feather beds still hold warm bodies. Curtains block the grey dawn. You imagine them turning lazily, perhaps sighing at the faint smell of bacon that will drift upstairs soon. Their hands are soft, unscarred. Their mornings begin with breakfast served on china plates, not with buckets of ash. The contrast cuts deep, yet you push it aside. To dwell on it only makes the labour heavier. Still, the thought slips through. If you lived here in another life, would you be the one upstairs, or always the one below? The water in the basin grows cloudy. You dump it, then lift the bucket once more, arms shaking to fetch another round. The handle digs deeper, carving red grooves into your skin. Your back throbs, and when you reach the pump again, your breath catches short. For a moment you lean against the wall, dizzy. The brick is damp, smelling of mildew. Cold seeps into your spine. You close your eyes, then force them open. Pausing is dangerous. Someone might see. You pump again, the iron groaning. Water gushes, splashing. Your hands tremble as you steady the bucket. You think of the endless stairs ahead. Water to carry up to bedrooms, to polish, to wash. Your body already aches. But the bell will ring again soon, summoning you higher, into the silent corridors where you must vanish into invisibility. A pigeon flutters past the yard window, wings clattering against glass. The sudden sound jolts you. For a heartbeat you imagine freedom in that flight, the wide sky beyond the soot, beyond the narrow streets. Then the weight of the bucket drags you back to stone, to coal, to water. You return to the scullery, setting the bucket down harder than you meant. Water sloshes over, wetting the floor. You drop to your knees, wiping quickly with a rag before anyone notices. Knees press into stone, sharp pain rising through bone. You bite your lip, tasting iron. Yet there is a rhythm here too, a solidarity with the countless others who kneel at this hour across the city. You do not see them, but you feel them, their backs bent, their fingers raw, their breath quick. Together, though apart, you build the hidden pulse of London. Without you, the city would falter. With you, it shines. And so you lift the rag, wring it, set it aside. The fire crackles stronger. The house remains silent above. The weight of water, coal, and ash already presses against your bones. But you rise again, ready for the next demand. The first sound is faint, a creak of boards overhead, then another, lighter, softer. The household is waking. Your body tightens as if pulled by strings. The quiet rhythm of your work shifts instantly into urgency. Every movement must now serve their rising. The fires must be bright, the boots polished, the rooms aired before the masters step into them. You reach for the brushes lined neatly on the kitchen shelf. Blacking paste clings to the rag, thick and greasy. It smells sharp with soot and vinegar. You set a boot on your knee, leather dull, streaked with yesterday's mud. The brush moves quickly, bristles rasping, arm aching with each stroke. Soon the leather gleams, catching the flicker of firelight. You line the boots beside the door, arranging them like soldiers. Another creak above, this one closer to the stairs. Your breath stills. The family always expects the world ready before their feet touch the floor. If they find ash still cold or boots still dusty, rebuke follows swiftly. Some mistresses are known to dismiss maids for less. For the smell of damp linen in a guest room, for a scuff on a polished grate. Letters from housekeepers suggest these dismissals came with little warning, though records rarely speak of the lives left behind. You snatch the ashpan again, scattering embers across the grate in the drawing room. The air smells of cold soot, layered over lavender polish rubbed into furniture the night before. Your knees press into thick carpet as you stoke the fire, its first flames reflecting against polished brass. Above, footsteps multiply, 2, 3, then a cough muffled by walls. You hurry to the windows, tugging curtains apart. The world outside is grey, fog dense against the panes, droplets trailing down the glass. Cold rushes in when you open the sash, sharp enough to sting your teeth. You breathe it anyway. Airing the room is required. Dust and damp must be banished before the mistress appears. The city's smell pushes in. Coal, smoke, manure, the faint iron tang of the Thames. Then you slam the sash shut, teeth chattering, fingers numb. The stairwell echoes with another sound, a bell, sharp and insistent. This one from the mistress's chamber. Your heart kicks. You dart back to the hall, skirt brushing the polished rail. Carpet muffles your steps, but you still tread light, every creak a threat. At the top you pause, hands folded, eyes lowered. The mistress dislikes seeing servants unless necessary. You slip into her room only when her voice calls. Her glove lies across the chair, silk pale against the dark wood. You reach for it, smoothing its folds, setting it neatly by her dressing table. The contrast jolts you, her hands, soft, perfumed, wrapped in silk. Yours, calloused, raw, red from soap and coal. The brush of fabric against your skin is like a reminder that you are never to be mistaken for her. The chamber pot waits too, porcelain patterned in blue. You lift it carefully, arms steady, though your stomach tightens at the smell. This must be gone before her day truly begins. One slip, one spill, and your name could be whispered against you in the servants' hall, or worse, spoken aloud in her sharp tone. You carry it down again, the weight familiar, the smell clinging. Another bell rings before you reach the scullery, the master's chamber this time, deeper tone, louder. Your pulse stumbles, but your feet do not. This is the rhythm of the house. Bells, boots, ash, curtains. Each demand folds into the next, until you are only the hands that move, the feet that climb, the breath that carries weight. Historians note that many households kept bellboards, wooden panels in the servants' quarters with strings leading to every room. Each bell bore a number, each number a room. each ring a command. Some houses had more than a dozen, others, grander still, twice that. Records show these systems often confused new servants who learn the patterns only by mistake. You too learn them through error. One wrong door, one wrong tray, punished with scorn. You return upstairs, cloth in hand, dusting as you go. Every surface must shine. The carved banister, the gilt frame, the side table where no one notices dust until it is absent. Your cloth drags grey streaks that vanish quickly under polish. The smell of wax rises faint, sweet, mixing with coal smoke still clinging to your sleeves. Gaslight sputters as the butler adjusts a lamp in the hall. He nods once. Curt, eyes sharp. His glance is both warning and reminder. He sees everything. You lower your head, pass quickly. The authority of butlers was enormous in houses like these, their words shaping the fate of every maid below. Letters suggest some butlers wielded it kindly, others harshly. Yours is unreadable, but his silence is heavier than speech. You step into the drawing room again, adjusting the hearth rug, smoothing creases with your palm. The fire has grown steady now, light dancing across the glass of the cabinet. Inside, porcelain gleams, delicate cups that will never touch your lips. A clock ticks on the mantel, marking each second with soft precision. 7 o'clock approaches. The family will descend soon. The smell of breakfast drifts faintly from the kitchen below. Bacon sizzling, bread warming, tea leaves steeping in scalding water. It is not for you. You will taste only porridge scraps if any remain. Still, your stomach twists at the scent, saliva sharp at the back of your throat. Hunger must wait. You pause by the window once more, wiping a smear from the pane. Outside, the fog has thinned just enough to reveal a carriage rattling past. The driver leans forward, coat collar high, whip in hand. Hooves strike sparks on stone. A child runs alongside, scarf trailing, then vanishes into an alley. The city is fully awake now, and so is the house. Above, the mistress calls, voice edged with impatience. You bow your head, move toward the sound. Already the day is tightening around you. The hours ahead will blur with commands, with bells, with tasks that fold one into the other, until your body is only movement and your mind only silence. And yet, for a fleeting moment, you catch the glow of the fire as you pass the hearth. Its warmth brushes your cheek. Its light gleams in the polished brass. You breathe once, deep, as though it were yours, then you let it go. The corridors breathe with sound once the family is truly awake. Carpets swallow footsteps, but whispers linger, curling along plaster walls like smoke. You move quietly, cloth in hand, polishing a banister already polished, ears straining though you never mean to listen. In these houses silence is demanded, yet gossip seeps through every seam. From the dining room, a woman's voice drifts low, tight with disapproval. The mistress is speaking. Dismissed last month. Not a proper reference. Disgraceful. Your shoulders stiffen though she does not speak of you. The words slip under your skin anyway, sharp as needles. Servants dismissed for scandal. Rarely found new places. A stolen spoon. A glance too bold. A letter read when it should not be. Any could condemn you. You wipe slower. Cloth, whispering against wood. Another voice answers. Higher, breathless. The housekeeper, perhaps. So careless, madam. It will not happen here. Her tone is syrup, smooth, designed to soothe, but underneath you hear the strain. Housekeepers carry weight heavier than coal. They stand between family and staff, praised if nothing falters, blamed if anything breaks. Records suggest some ruled like tyrants, others shielded their maids like kin. Which is yours? You are never sure. The door clicks shut. Silence drops heavy. You breathe out, shoulders easing, yet your ears keep ringing with the word dismissed. You climb the back stair, tray balanced against your hip. The narrow passage is dim, plaster cracked, smelling of damp and dust. At the landing, Voices again, this time younger, sharper. Two footmen leaning close, jackets brushed, hair oiled. They speak in fast whispers, laughter bursting suddenly, then stifled when they notice you. Their eyes flicker, a smirk passes between them. You lower your gaze, slip past, but your cheeks burn. What do they say when you are gone? Your name, your walk, or something crueler? Letters from servants hint at dangers in such moments. A rumour started, a story twisted. Once spoken, it spreads faster than coal smoke. You wonder if they whispered about you, would you know before it ruined you? Down the corridor you pause by a half-open door. Voices murmur inside. Two ladies, perhaps guests. So much better since the new maid arrived. The last one, hopeless, absolutely hopeless. Laughter follows, brittle as glass. Your throat tightens. Hopeless. You know the word well. A careless hand with glassware, a slow step with tea, and hopelessness becomes a label pressed to your back. You move on, tray steady, ears burning. At the servants' hall, voices change. Lower, softer, closer to your own. The kitchen maid whispers to the scullery boy. Caught her crying in the yard, said the mistress shouted. Said she'd no kin to go to if turned out. His reply is muffled, kind perhaps. You cannot linger to know, but the words cling. No kin, no place. Dismissal is not just shame. It is hunger, cold, the workhouse if luck runs out. Historians note how many servants ended there. Though records blur faces and names into numbers, still, you think of the girl crying in the yard. Her tears could be yours one day. Another whisper trails through memory, of a footman sacked for theft, though he swore innocence, of a maid accused of breaking a vase she never touched. Gossip, rumour, suspicion, they are as dangerous as any illness. The corridor stretches ahead, narrow and dim. Light filters weakly from high windows, dust motes swirling like ghosts. You step soft, tray balanced, heartbeat steady. Then you hear it again, voices, but closer this time, rising with urgency. Two gentlemen, family members perhaps. Their words are sharp, debts mounting, cannot let the papers know. The other hisses back, keep your voice down. You freeze, ears burning, then force yourself to move, head lowered. Their secrets are not yours to know, yet now you carry them, heavy as water buckets. A clock chimes in the hall, its tone clear, marking the hour. You realize how much has already passed in whispers alone, a morning filled not only with labour, but with voices pressing into your mind, shaping fear, stirring unease. You descend again, skirt brushing the wall. In the kitchen, laughter rises briefly. Two maids share a crust of bread, giggling at some private joke. Relief spreads warm in your chest. Even here, among whispers sharp as knives, there are moments of kindness. A crumb of bread passed hand to hand, a joke told in secret. Small things, but they soften the day's edge. You swallow back a smile and return to your tasks. Still, the voices echo long after. The mistress's disdain, the guest's brittle laughter, the footman's smirk, the girl in the yard, crying. They braid together, forming a rope that pulls tight around your chest. Some say servants learned to tune their ears, to hear nothing. Others say ears became too sharp, catching even sighs behind closed doors. Which are you becoming? You wonder if silence is protection, or if hearing too much is survival. As you scrub a step on the back stair, your cloth squeaks against the wood. Each stroke is fierce, as though you could erase whispers the way you erase dust. But voices cling deeper than grime. They stain thought, not surface. A rat scurries again, its tail flicking against the wall. You startle, then press back into the rhythm of scrubbing. Above, laughter rings faintly. A child's this time, bright and brief. It cuts through all else like sunlight, reminding you not all voices carry threat. Some are innocent still. The corridor grows quiet as the house settles into morning. Whispers retreat, doors close, tasks resume, yet your ears ring long after, filled with echoes of words never meant for you. You pause at the window at the end of the hall. Outside, the fog has lifted slightly, revealing rooftops slick with damp. A woman passes below, basket on her arm, scarf tied tight. She does not hear the whispers in these corridors. She hears only the street's noise, carts, vendors, clatter. For a moment you envy her, free of these walls, free of listening. But then the bell rings again, sharp, insistent. You turn, tray lifted, breath caught. The whispers fade, replaced by command. And so the day presses forward. The kitchen grows louder as the morning deepens. Pots rattle, lids clang, knives strike against wooden boards. Steam clouds the air, heavy with the smell of frying bacon, rich and salty, fat spitting against the iron pan. Your stomach twists, empty since yesterday's scraps, but you push the thought down. This food is not for you. The cook's voice cuts through the din, sharp, commanding, more eggs. Quickly now, you hurry to the larder, the floor cold beneath your shoes, shelves stacked with jars and sacks. The eggs are cool in your palm, smooth shells faintly speckled. You cradle them carefully, knowing one crack could mean scolding. Even small mistakes weigh heavy in a house where appearances matter more than comfort. You set the eggs beside the pan. Their smell grows stronger as they hit the hot fat, a savoury perfume rising with the bacon. Toast follows, bread held over flames until it crisps, scent mingling with the tang of smoke. Tea steeps in scalding water, its bitter steam curling around your nose. A silver pot gleams on the counter, polished until your reflection bends across its side. Your belly growls again, loud enough that you flush with shame. No one remarks. Perhaps they are too busy, or perhaps they are used to it. Records suggest servants' meals varied, sometimes porridge or dripping spread on bread, sometimes nothing until noon. Letters hint at scraps, offered only after family plates were cleared. Historians disagree on how fair these meals were, but the truth is simple. Hunger was constant, and you feel it now. You fetch plates from the cupboard. China so fine it seems to hum beneath your fingertips. Blue patterns wind across the white surface like vines. One slip, one crack, and it would cost you weeks of wages if wages were offered at all. For some servants were paid only board and lodging. You carry each plate carefully, setting them in a neat row. The cook leans close, her breath warm with tea. "Mind yourself, girl," she mutters, not unkind. Her eyes are tired, her hair pinned tight, but you sense the weight of years in her posture. Cooks held power in many households, commanding kitchens like generals. Some bullied, others protected. Yours is stern but fair. Her mutter carries both warning and care. The butler enters, shoes gleaming, voice low. They'll want breakfast sharp at past. No delay. He surveys the table as though judging a painting, nodding once before leaving. His glance lingers on you, unreadable, and you lower your gaze quickly. You lift the tray, heavy with silverware and steaming dishes. Bacon glistens, toast stacked golden, eggs quivering at the edges. The weight pulls at your arms, but you balance it steady, cloth wrapped tight against heat. As you climb the back stair, the smell rises around you, teasing, cruel. Your mouth waters, throat tight, but you dare not taste. At the dining room door you pause, shift the tray, then step inside. Gaslight glows against high walls, portraits watching with painted eyes. The mistress sits straight-backed, rings gleaming as she lifts her cup. The master unfolds his paper, brows furrowed in concentration. Children chatter, their voices rising like birdsong, laughter spilling without care. You place dishes before them, one by one, silver gleaming, steam curling upward. No one looks at you directly. Your presence is expected, not acknowledged. Invisible. You retreat, steps backward, head lowered. The door closes. Their laughter continues. Back in the kitchen, the smell remains, clinging to your skin, your hair, your own breakfast waits. A bowl of porridge, grey and thick, set aside on the wooden table. You sit quickly, spoon heavy, porridge cooling fast. The taste is bland, barely salted, but hunger dulls complaint. You swallow spoonful after spoonful, stomach easing slightly. A kitchen maid sits beside you, offering a crust of bread. You take it gratefully, chewing the dry edge, sharing a faint smile. These small kindnesses matter more than flavour. Bread shared is dignity shared. Yet even as you eat, your eyes stray to the counter where a half rasher of bacon cools, fat congealing on the plate. Not for you, not unless cook nods. Sometimes she does when her mood is soft. Today she does not. You lower your gaze, push the thought aside. Historians debate whether servants truly starved in such houses. Wages were small, meals frugal, yet not all went hungry. Some recalled hearty stews, others nothing but scraps. The truth likely shifted from house to house. For you, hunger is not death but a steady ache, a reminder each morning of where you stand. A crash interrupts, a dish slipping from a scullery boy's hand, shattering against stone. The cook's voice rises, furious. The boy stammers apologies, face pale. You glance away quickly, heart racing as though it were your mistake. Fear echoes contagious. Dismissal can follow swiftly, and you know how easily accidents happen. The smell of bacon lingers, stronger now in memory than in air. You imagine its crisp edge between your teeth, salt cutting your tongue. The thought is so vivid you almost taste it. Then the bell rings again, sharp from the dining room. Plates must be cleared, tea refilled, toast replaced. Hunger must wait. You rise, spoon clattering back into the bowl. Already the taste of porridge is gone, replaced by steam, by silver, by command. You lift another tray, lighter this time, yet still heavy with expectation. Upstairs, laughter spills from the dining room, joined now by a father's deep chuckle. A child sings a nonsense rhyme. You step inside, silent, gathering plates, refilling cups. Crumbs scatter across the cloth. Eggs scrape to the edge. You clear them quickly, balancing dishes against your arm. As you pass the window, light shifts, thin rays of pale sun slipping through fog. For a heartbeat, it warms your face, soft against the smell of grease and tea. You hold it quietly, then let it go. Downstairs, scraps await. Perhaps a half slice of toast, a sliver of fat left behind. Sometimes these moments feel like victory, sometimes they feel like cruelty. Today they are simply survival. And so the morning meal passes. The family is fed, full, voices light with comfort. You are not full, but you are steadied. Hunger will return soon, as it always does. But for now you breathe, wipe your hands on your apron, and turn to the next task. The house demands more than food. It demands your invisibility, your endurance, your silence. The smell of bacon clings still, even as the fire burns low. You move through the rooms like a shadow. The family has eaten, their laughter fading behind closed doors, and now the house requires silence once more. This is your realm, the invisible labour that keeps the illusion alive. The first task waits upstairs. Chamber pots again, lying neatly beneath beds or tucked discreetly behind screens. You kneel, lifting porcelain cool against your palms. The air carries a sour tang that turns your stomach, but you keep your face smooth, breath shallow. The pots must vanish, cleaned and replaced before anyone notices they were used at all. No thought must cling to the act. Their comfort is preserved by your invisibility. Down the back stair, the pots knock gently together, porcelain chime echoing like a bell. You scrub them at the stone sink. Water cold, soap biting into raw knuckles. Foam rises, flecked with grey. The smell lingers no matter how fiercely you rinse. Still, you polish each rim until it gleams, porcelain shining under weak daylight. Then you return them, quiet, unseen, as though they had never left. Next comes brass and copper. The mistress insists on shine. Dullness is shame. You fetch the polish, thick and acrid, paste clinging beneath your nails. The cloth squeaks as you rub, circles over and over until the metal glows. Handles brighten, hinges catch the light, pots glimmer like molten gold. Your own reflection warps in the surfaces, bent, blurred, a face stretched thin. It does not look like you. Historians note Victorian households prized surfaces that gleamed: brass knockers, stair rods, copper pans. Manuals of housekeeping insisted daily polishing was essential to show refinement. Yet letters from servants complain of endless hours spent scrubbing metal that would tarnish again by nightfall. Some even whispered of polishing brass knobs on doors the family rarely touched, simply to uphold appearances. You pause, cloth blackened with paste, wrist aching, your shoulders slump, but you lift again. Shine is endless. Visibility of polish means invisibility of labour. The carpet awaits next. You kneel with brush and rag, working stains invisible to anyone but you. The bristles rasp against woven fibres, loosening dust tracked in from boots. The smell of wool rises, faintly sweet mixed with your own sweat. You press harder, arm trembling. The stain fades, or perhaps only your eyes grow too tired to see it. A bell rings faintly, then stops. Not yours. Relief loosens your chest for a moment. Still, you work faster. Bells come at any time, sharp reminders that no task is ever finished, only interrupted. The drawing room gleams by the time you finish. Brass reflects firelight, copper glows, carpet lies smooth. To the family, it will seem as though the house simply breathes perfection. They will never think of the hands that made it so. That is the rule. The world must appear effortless, as though cleanliness blooms from air itself. You slip into the hallway, cloth folded against your palm. Dust gathers on frames, along the edge of the stair. You wipe, smooth, polish again. Your fingertips grow numb, skin catching on splinters. A child runs past suddenly, footsteps quick, laughter bright. She does not see you at all. Her curls bounce, her dress swishes. Her toy clatters against the wall. She vanishes around the corner, leaving only the echo of joy. You straighten slowly, cloth limp in your hand. To her the gleaming hall is natural. Expected, she will never know the ache behind its shine. Still, you smile faintly. The innocence softens the weight, if only for a breath. Downstairs again, the kitchen calls, pots from breakfast crowd the sink. Grease thick, water cooling fast. You plunge your arms in, skin recoiling from chill, then scrub fiercely. Grease coats your knuckles, slides under nails. The smell of lard and smoke fills your nose. You scrub until your wrists ache, until the metal squeals clean beneath your brush. Historians disagree on whether servants were truly invisible. Diaries from mistresses rarely mention them, as though they were shadows. Yet memoirs from former maids describe being constantly watched, judged on posture, speed, silence. Invisible as people, but hyper-visible in labour. You feel that paradox now, unseen, yet endlessly observed. You stack the pans neatly, copper glowing faintly, even in dim light. Steam curls from the kettle, dampening your hair. Your apron clings, soaked at the hem. The kitchen feels like both cage and refuge, noisy, hot, filled with clatter, but also safely below the gaze of family eyes. The scullery boy passes, arms full of logs. He nods once, quick, before vanishing. A small gesture, but you hold it close. Recognition, however brief, breaks the weight of invisibility. The clock in the servants' hall ticks steady, marking minutes you do not own. Hours blur in scrubbing, polishing, wiping, carrying. The house grows brighter, shinier, more perfect. You grow dimmer, smaller, fading behind each surface. You pause by the pantry, leaning against the cool wood of the door. For a moment you close your eyes. The smell of flour lingers here, soft and dry, mingling with spice jars on the shelf. You imagine bread rising, golden crust cracking, steam filling the air. For a heartbeat, you picture your own table, simple but yours, no one watching. Then the bell rings again. Sharp, insistent, the mistress this time. You push off the door, shoulders heavy, cloth still damp in your hand. Invisibility will not save you now. The bell demands presence. You climb the stair again, quiet, polished handles gleaming beneath your fingers. At the top you pause outside her room, breath steadying. You smooth your apron, wipe your hands quickly. Then you knock softly, enter when called. She sits at her dressing table, mirror bright with morning light. Her eyes flick to you, then back to her reflection. More hot water, she says, voice clipped. You nod, retreat quickly. Steps light. She does not look again. You vanish as easily as you appeared. Downstairs you fetch the kettle, steam rising sharp. The fire crackles, the smell of coal thick. You lift the kettle carefully, arms aching, then climb once more. The weight pulls, but you carry it steady. When you set it down, she does not speak. She dips her hand, tests the heat, nods faintly. You slip away, door closing behind you. Invisible hands, invisible labour. The house shines, fires burn, water steams. They see none of it, yet rely on it all. And you move through it like a ghost, leaving no trace but the shine. The stairs wait like silent judges. Each step is a test. Each board is a secret ready to betray you. You place your foot carefully, heel raised, weight spread, hoping the wood does not groan. Even with thick carpet muffling most sound, one wrong shift can echo through the hall. Your heart pounds faster than your tread. You imagine the mistress pausing in her chamber, ears pricked, her voice sharp. Who makes such a racket? Dismissal has followed smaller offences. Letters from dismissed maids tell of lost positions blamed on clumsy steps or doors closed too loudly. Perhaps those letters exaggerate, or perhaps not. You cannot risk finding out. You keep to the side of the stair where boards are firmest, where your weight presses less. The carpet is worn here, fibres flattened, but it saves you from creaks. Your hand brushes the polished banister, cool and smooth under your fingertips. Wax clings faintly, scent mingling with the coal smoke still on your sleeves. You steady yourself, body poised like a dancer, each step a movement practiced through repetition. Below, the kitchen rattles faintly with pots and voices. Above, silence reigns, heavy and expectant. The stairs are your bridge between worlds, one of noise, grease, labour, the other of velvet, order appearances. You belong fully to neither, but must pass through both without leaving a trace. A door opens on the landing. You flatten against the wall, tray pressed tight against your chest. A child peeks out, curls tousled, eyes wide. She giggles softly, then vanishes back inside. Relief loosens your breath, but the danger lingers. If she had cried out instead, if her mother had seen you lurking, suspicion might have bloomed. Even innocence can reveal too much. You climb again, step by step, knees trembling under the tray's weight. Plates tremor faintly, silver rattling, but you steady them with practiced fingers. At the top you pause, breath caught. You listen, only the faint tick of a clock, steady, relentless. You exhale, then move swiftly across the corridor, footsteps swallowed by the thick rug. Historians note many Victorian homes had separate staircases for servants, steep, narrow, tucked away behind doors. These stairs were meant to keep you unseen, moving like blood through hidden veins of the house. Yet not every family built them, and even where they existed, servants often found themselves on the grand stairs when duty called. Diaries hint at the fear of being caught on those velveted steps at the wrong hour, as though trespassing in plain sight. You know that fear well. The grand staircase yawns before you now, wide and gleaming. Sunlight filters through high windows, striking gold along the balustrade. Each step looks polished enough to mirror your face. You hesitate, heart thudding. The butler expects the tray delivered swiftly. There is no other path. You step onto the velvet runner, its pile soft underfoot, muffling even your cautious tread. Still, the echo haunts your ears, as though every step resounds too loud, too certain. The portraits lining the walls seem to watch, eyes painted centuries before but sharp as any gaze. You bow your head, refusing to meet them. Halfway up, a board sighs faintly beneath your weight. The sound is soft, but to you it booms. Sweat beads at your temple, trickling down your neck. You grip the tray tighter, muscles burning, and continue upward. Each step feels like walking across ice that might crack. At the landing, relief floods you. The carpet here swallows every sound, thick and heavy, its pattern dark with curling vines. You breathe deep, but not too loud. Even breathing can feel intrusive. You set the tray down gently outside the drawing room. The door opens a moment later, the butler appearing. His expression is unreadable, eyes flicking from tray to your face. He nods once, curt, then lifts the tray himself. You bow your head, step back quickly, invisible again. He closes the door, leaving you in the corridor. Silence hums, broken only by the clock's steady tick. You turn away, moving back toward the stair. This time you descend. Gravity pulls at your knees, your body heavier with each step. You shift weight carefully, testing each board. The side stair waits, steeper, narrower, meant for your kind. You slip into it, door closing softly behind you. The air here is different, cooler, damp, smelling of stone and dust. Light is thin, filtered through small, grimy windows. The steps creak louder, uncarpeted, bare wood exposed. You know these stairs by heart, each squeak, each dip where countless feet have worn the wood hollow. You step lightly, avoiding the worst boards, though one still betrays you. The groan echoes through the shaft. You freeze, listening. No voice follows. You move again, faster now. At the bottom, the kitchen greets you with noise and heat. Relief mingles with exhaustion. Here footsteps can clatter, voices can rise. You exhale, shoulders slumping slightly. Still, the memory of silence lingers, pressing against your ears like a phantom. You fetch another bucket, another cloth. Work continues. The stairs are not done with you yet. They never are. You will climb them a dozen more times before night falls. Each trip a silent test, each step a chance for failure. A question drifts through your mind, soft, dangerous. If you lived where the carpets muffled your steps, would you notice the silence, or would you believe the house simply cared for itself? You shake it off, cloth in hand, knees pressing into stone as you scrub again. The echo of footsteps still hums in your bones. The day moves forward. Tells will ring, trays will need lifting, ashes carrying, and always the stairs rising and falling beneath your feet, demanding silence, punishing clumsiness. They are your stage, your path, your trap. Invisible, you climb again. Invisible, you descend, always between worlds, never belonging to either. Only the echoes remain. The mistress's room smells of lavender and starch. Sunlight filters through the curtains, painting her dressing table with pale gold. Bottles of perfume gleam like jewels. Silver-backed brushes lie in perfect order, gloves folded neatly by the mirror. You step inside only because her bell summoned you. Otherwise, this is a place you enter only in absence, to tidy, to dust, to vanish again before her eyes can find you. Today, she is there. Her posture is straight, chin lifted, a figure wrapped in pale morning silk. She does not glance up when you enter. Her gaze is fixed on her own reflection, lips pursed as she studies her face. You lower your eyes instantly, hands folded before you, body a shadow against her brightness. Water, she says, just one word, clipped, precise. You bow, retreat, Fetch the kettle, return quickly, arms trembling under its heat. She extends a hand without turning. You pour into the porcelain basin, steam rising, scent of soap mingling with lavender. Then, as you set the kettle down, she turns at last. Her eyes sweep across you, sharp, measuring. Your apron, she says. Voice cool. It is wrinkled. See that it does not happen again. You nod, throat tight. The cloth had crumpled under the weight of buckets. You smoothed it before entering, but not enough. She sees everything, or believes she does. A reprimand now may be forgotten in hours, or remembered weeks later when wages are withheld. You do not answer. Words are dangerous. Silence is safer. She turns back to her mirror, fingers lifting one of the gloves. Pale silk, stitched neatly, faint sheen catching the light. She slides it onto her hand, tugging gently at the cuff. Then she holds out the other, impatient, expecting your assistance. You step forward, fingers brushing the soft fabric as you ease it over her skin. The contrast jolts you. Her palm is smooth, warm, perfumed faintly of rosewater. Yours are rough, red, nails broken from scrubbing. The silk whispers as it slides, delicate, mocking your coarse grip. For a moment your calluses graze her wrist, and she draws a sharp breath as though touched by something unclean. Careful, she says, her voice colder now. Do not stretch the seam. You whisper, yes, madam, though your lips barely move. The glove fits at last, fingers straight, the silk shining flawless once more. She withdraws her hand, attention already drifting back to her reflection. Historians note that Victorian mistresses often measured status through details: the shine of brass, the fold of linen, the state of a maid's apron. Some wrote manuals instructing women how to supervise their staff, demanding constant vigilance. Yet letters from servants tell of other mistresses, gentler, kinder, offering cast-off gowns or a soft word. Records cannot agree which was more common. You only know the sharpness of this room, the chill of her correction. The mistress adjusts her hair, pins glittering faintly. She leans closer to the mirror, inspecting a curl. Bring the lace collar, she says. You obey instantly, fetching it from the wardrobe where white cloth gleams against cedar. The lace is fine, intricate, its threads delicate as cobwebs. You hold it carefully, afraid even your breath might fray it. She takes it without looking at you, fingers brushing yours for the briefest moment. Your heart hammers. Each touch is a reminder of distance. Her softness, your roughness, her command, your silence. She lives in a world of silk, lace, lavender, you in one of coal, water, soap. The two worlds meet only at these edges, where her glove slides over your hand, where her glance slices through your body. She speaks again, almost to herself. The new maid at Mrs. Ashton's was dismissed already. Clumsy girl, shameful. Her tone is casual, but the words hit you like a blow. You wonder if she says it as warning. Perhaps she does not even mean you to hear, but you hear. You always hear. A bell rings faintly elsewhere in the house. She sighs, annoyed at the interruption. Go, she says. Just that. You bow, step back quickly, retreating through the door before it closes behind you. In the corridor, your breath releases at last. The air here smells of dust and polish, not lavender. You lean briefly against the wall, fingers trembling. The ghost of the glove lingers on your skin, silk soft against callous rough. You rub your hand against your apron, but the feeling does not fade. Some servants wrote in letters of humiliation, the sense that their bodies were considered coarse, contaminating. Others spoke of strange intimacy, the closeness of dressing a mistress, fastening her gown, brushing her hair. You feel both at once invisible and exposed, necessary and despised. The corridor creaks under your feet. As you move away, you keep your steps light, but the echo of her voice trails after you. Your apron. Do not let it happen again. You descend the side stair, breath shallow, tray waiting at the bottom. Another task calls. Another bell will ring. Yet the image of her glove stays in your mind. The shimmer of silk, the chill of her words, the way your hand seemed foreign beside hers. In the servants' hall, the others glance up briefly. The kitchen maid lifts an eyebrow, as though asking silently if the mistress was sharp again. You offer only a small shake of the head. No words, whispers carry too far. You return to the sink, plunging your hands into cold water. The sting is sharp, welcome almost. It strips away the ghost of silk, leaving only your skin, rough and red as it has always been. The mistress will never know the sound of water numbing her bones. She will never smell coal dust ground into her nails. She will never feel the weight of a chamber pot pressing her hip. And she will never know the strange ache left by a single touch, how silk against callus can remind you of everything you are, and everything you will never be. The kettle hisses again. The bell rings. You rise, wipe your hands, and move. The glove has slipped away into her drawer, folded neat, forgotten. For you it lingers still. The laundry waits below, damp air pressing heavy, even before you enter. The ceiling drips with condensation, stone walls slick where steam has kissed them for hours. You descend with the basket in your arms, linen piled high, its weight bending your back, digging into your forearms. The cloth smells of sweat, smoke, and perfume, faded into stale sweetness. Each piece carries a trace of the body it touched, but for you it is only more weight, more work. You drop the basket beside the copper, shoulders sagging with relief. Then you lift the lid. Steam bursts upward, scalding your cheeks, fogging your vision. The copper pot bubbles like a cauldron, water churning, soap thick at the surface. Your lungs fill with the sharp tang of lye, stinging your throat, making your eyes water. Still, you plunge your arms in, skin recoiling as heat bites. The linen twists beneath your hands, slippery, heavy, resisting. You grip tight, knuckles white, scrubbing hard. The sound of pounding fills the room. Mallets striking cloth against wooden boards, water slapping stone. Other maids work beside you, their faces flushed crimson from heat, hair plastered damp against their temples. No one speaks much. Speech wastes breath. Only the rhythm matters. Plunge, scrub, pound, ring. The copper hisses like an angry thing, demanding endless attention. Historians note that laundry was among the hardest tasks of service. Records suggest laundry maids rose even earlier than others. Their day spent in steam and soap until their lungs burned. Some houses installed new mangles, huge rollers to squeeze water from cloth, but not all. Letters describe arms trembling with effort, wrists twisted, spines bent. Accounts disagree whether such labour shortened lives, or merely bent them into crooked shapes. You feel it now, the weight of linen soaked through, clinging, impossible to lift easily. You haul a sheet from the water, steam rising around you like fog. It slaps wet against your arms, drenching your apron, dripping into your shoes. You stagger, twisting it, wringing hard until your wrists scream. Water streams onto the floor, pooling, turning stone slick beneath your feet. The heat grows suffocating. Your breath comes shallow, chest tight. Sweat runs down your spine, sticking cloth to skin. The room feels like a furnace, yet you shiver at the same time, cold water soaking your skirts. Every sense is overwhelmed. The hiss of boiling, the slap of cloth, the sting of soap, the weight pressing bone. You glance toward the high window. Steam clouds the glass, blurring the world beyond. A bird perches there briefly, wings fluttering, then vanishes. Its shadow leaves you aching, though you do not know why. Perhaps because it is dry, perhaps because it is free. The house's linen pile seems endless. Shirts, collars, stockings, sheets. White is not truly white until you scrub it. So, yellowed stains from sweat and soot must vanish, or rebuke follows. You scrub harder, wrists twisting, soap biting into cracks in your skin. Blood beads faintly at one knuckle, pink swirling into foam. You do not stop. A fellow maid coughs beside you. harsh, deep, echoing. She wipes her mouth quickly, looks away. Letters from servants mention such coughs, sometimes lasting for months, sometimes ending with dismissal when work grew impossible. Steam filled lungs too easily, weakening them. Some recovered, some did not. The records never say enough. The copper bubbles louder, lid rattling. You grab the paddle, stir the churning water, linen swirling like drowning things. Your arms tremble with effort, muscles burning. Heat blasts your face. For a moment you feel dizzy, vision swimming. You grip the paddle tighter, steady yourself. Falling here would mean scalding, scars, perhaps worse. You breathe through it, shallow, steady. At last you lift another sheet, haul it dripping to the mangle. The rollers gleam faintly, wood dark with age. You feed the cloth through, crank the handle, body straining. Water gushes out, splattering your skirt, soaking your shoes further. Your arms shake, but the sheet flattens, heavy, nearly dry. You hang it across a line stretched in the corner, steam curling from its surface. For a moment, the whiteness glows against the dim stone, as though it were light itself. You stare, dazed. Before turning back to the copper, the pile waits still. Some households hired laundry out, sending it to washhouses. Others kept it within, demanding endless labour from their staff. Diaries disagree on which was harsher. Perhaps both. You only know the steam pressing into your lungs, the ache in your wrists, the endless churn of water. Hours blur. The copper hisses. The paddle stirs. Sheets slap against boards. Your body moves like a machine, thought narrowing to cloth, water, soap. The world shrinks to heat and weight. At last the pile grows smaller. You wring the last collar, scrub the last stocking, hang them dripping beside the others. The room reeks of lye and sweat. Your arms hang heavy at your sides, fingers pruned, red, trembling. You wipe your forehead with your sleeve, but the damp only spreads. The door opens briefly. A footman peers in, wrinkle of distaste crossing his face. He mutters something under his breath, perhaps about the smell, perhaps about you, and closes the door quickly. You exhale slowly, throat tight. To him, laundry is invisible. To you, it is everything. The kettle whistles faintly in the kitchen beyond. A thin voice calls, summoning. The mistress will want her linen returned crisp, folded, perfect. No sign of your labour must remain. Only whiteness, neatness, order, the steam, the sweat, the blood, all erased in silence. You gather the dry pieces, fold them carefully, stack them high. Your arms quake under their weight, but you lift anyway, spine bowing. You carry the pile up the stair, steps slick beneath your wet shoes. Each tread is a test again, each breath a burden. At the top, you pause in the corridor, adjusting the load. Linen gleams white against your chest, hiding your face. You hear laughter faint from a room nearby, clear, careless. You move quickly, unseen, setting the stack in its place, folding the last corner smooth. The mistress will find it ready, untouched by labour. You return downstairs, body trembling, lungs burning still with steam. The copper hisses faintly, cooling now, but tomorrow it will roar again. The laundry never ends. It waits always, heavy, hot, demanding. And you, invisible, will plunge your arms in once more. The mistress sends you to market. A small errand, a basket on your arm, coins pressed into your palm with precise instructions, eggs, butter, a joint of beef, if it looks fresh. Her voice carries the unspoken warning, return swiftly, no mistakes, no missing change. The door closes behind you, and the world shifts. The house's silence gives way to London's roar. Cobblestones rattle under carriage wheels, horses snort and stamp, drivers snap their whips, vendors cry their wares in sing-song voices. Hot chestnuts, fresh mackerel, eels still wriggling. Their calls weave together into a rough kind of music. Smoke from chimneys merges with the smell of dung, fish, roasting meat, coal, and damp wool. The air is thick, choking, alive. You step carefully, skirts lifted from the mud, water from last night's rain pools in ruts, splashing up when wheels strike. A child darts past, barefoot, scarf trailing, laughter shrill before it fades into the crowd. A beggar crouches by a lamppost, hand outstretched, eyes hollow. You look away quickly, though your chest tightens. You have only the mistress's coins, and none may be spared. The market street swells with people. Women carry baskets, sleeves rolled, bargaining in sharp tones. Men in aprons heft carcasses, knives flashing, blood staining their hands. A fishmonger slaps his wares onto a block, scales glinting like shards of glass. The smell is overwhelming, salt, brine, rot mingling until your stomach lurches. You force yourself forward, basket gripped tight. Historians note that markets in Victorian London were both necessity and hazard. Servants were often sent with strict orders. But theft was common, prices fluctuated, and temptations lurked in every stall. Some accounts claim maids were cheated routinely, accused of dishonesty when they returned. Others suggest many learned to barter fiercely, voices sharp as any vendors. You, still young, keep your voice soft, hoping not to draw ire. At the butcher's stall, carcasses hang heavy, flesh pale, fat gleaming. Flies buzz lazily despite the cold. You point to a joint of beef. Voice barely above the clamour. The butcher slaps it onto the block, knife cleaving with a crack. Blood spatters faintly, and you flinch, though you try to hide it. He wraps the cut in paper, grease already seeping through. You hand over coins, palms damp, praying you counted right. His eyes narrow briefly. Then he nods, turns away. Relief loosens your breath. Next, butter. The stall is crowded. Women jostling, their elbows sharp. You edge forward, pressed against rough wool and damp shawls. A woman mutters under her breath when you brush her sleeve. Glare sharp as glass. You bow your head, wait your turn. At last, you hand over coins. Receive a pat of butter wrapped tight. Its smell is faint, sour, mingling with the damp air. You tuck it into the basket, balance the load carefully. Eggs follow, delicate, dangerous. You choose each one with care, fingers brushing their cool shells, praying none crack before you return. The vendor's smile is sly, his eyes lingering too long. Pretty maid, he says softly, voice oily. Your cheeks burn. You clutch the basket tighter, turn quickly away. His laughter follows, low, unpleasant, swallowed soon by the roar of the crowd. The weight grows heavy against your arm, but you move swiftly. A pickpocket darts nearby, hand reaching, but you clutch the basket close, stepping aside just in time. His grin is sharp, toothless, gone as quickly as it came. Your heart pounds, but you keep walking. The mistress's coins are spent, but the food must reach her table unspoiled. The street narrows where stalls press close. Smoke from roasting chestnuts mixes with fish guts spilled in the gutter. Your shoes slip slightly on slime, and you steady yourself against a wall. The bricks are wet, rough beneath your palm, grime clinging to your skin. You wipe it quickly on your apron, though the stain lingers. A bell tolls in the distance. St. Paul's perhaps, though the sound is muffled by fog. Time presses. You hurry, weaving through carts and bodies, each step a test. Your shoulders ache from the basket, arm trembling, but you do not pause. Historians disagree on how much freedom errands gave servants. Some suggest they cherished these moments. Air, light, glimpses of the world beyond kitchens. Others insist errands were dreaded, filled with risk, danger, exposure. You feel both at once. The sky above is grey, heavy with smoke, but at least it is sky. Yet every glance feels sharp, every voice threatening. A street performer claps cymbals, children gathering, laughing, clapping in time. For a moment you almost pause, the sound bright amid the din, but the basket tugs at your arm. Heavy, insistent, you press on. At last, the house looms again, door dark against soot-streaked brick. You climb the steps quickly, knock once, and slip inside when the door opens. The hush is immediate, pressing. The roar of London falls away like a dream. The butler takes the basket, eyes flicking over its contents. He nods curtly, then dismisses you with a glance. You bow your head, retreating back into the servants' hall. Relief floods you. Coin spent, goods safe, errand complete. You sink briefly onto the wooden bench, arms aching, shoes damp with gutter water. The kitchen smells of bread rising, a comfort after the stench of the street, yet your body still carries London with it. Grime on your hands, smoke in your hair, the echo of cries in your ears. For a moment, you close your eyes. The market lingers behind them, the flash of knives, the fish scales glinting, the butcher's scowl, the vendor's leer. You exhale slowly, then rise again. There is no time to sit long. Another bell may ring at any moment. The city fades as quickly as it came. The house swallows you once more, your footsteps echoing faintly on stone. The errand is over. The labour never ends. The servants' hall is a world apart, though it lies only a few steps from the kitchen. Long wooden tables stretch across the room, scarred by years of knives and elbows. The air smells of stewed vegetables, candle wax and damp boots drying by the fire. Here, for the briefest moments, you are not entirely invisible. You sink onto the bench, arms aching from the morning's labour. Across from you, the scullery boy gnaws a crust, cheeks hollow, eyes darting. He glances up, then slides half across the table toward you. "Take it," he whispers, voice soft so the butler cannot hear. The bread is coarse, edges hard, but warmth spreads through your chest as you accept it. A gift in a place where nothing is free. You chew slowly, each bite filling more than your stomach. It fills the space inside your chest where fear usually lives. The boy grins faintly, a flash of crooked teeth, before looking away again. A kitchen maid passes, her arms full of plates. As she sets them down, she mutters just loud enough for you to hear. "If the mistress keeps sniffing the linen like that, I'll stuff lavender up her nose myself." Her face remains stern, but her eyes gleam. You stifle a laugh, covering it with your hand. For a heartbeat, mirth lifts the heaviness of the day. Historians note that servants' halls varied greatly. Some houses kept them rigid, dominated by the butler's authority, where conversation was formal and laughter rare. Others allowed a little freedom. Jokes, whispers, shared scraps of food. Letters hint that bonds often formed in kitchens and laundries, where work pressed bodies close, forcing solidarity against the weight of endless tasks. You feel it now, the thread of connection weaving through tired shoulders and raw hands. Each kindness is small, almost invisible, yet it glows brighter than the brass you polish. The cook enters. Heavy steps, apron dusted with flour. She sets a pot on the table, stew thin but fragrant, steam curling into the air. "Eat," she says gruffly, though her eyes soften as they scan the room. Bowls are passed, spoons dipped, the clatter filling the hall. You sip, broth salty, turnip sharp on your tongue. Warmth spreads down your throat, easing the chill clinging from the errand outdoors. Beside you, another maid leans close, whispering, "Did you hear? The Ashton girl was caught kissing the footman out on the back stair." Her eyes widen with scandal, but also with glee. You gasp softly, then press your lips together, forcing the reaction down. Such stories spread fast, and often end in tears. Still for a moment, the gossip binds you together, a secret shared beneath the butler's nose. The butler himself enters a moment later, steps measured, gaze sweeping the hall. Conversation dies instantly, replaced by the scrape of spoons. He sits at the head of the table, posture stiff, presence commanding. Even here, authority hangs heavy. But beneath the silence, you feel the warmth of shared glances, the crumbs of bread, the hidden laughter. You rise to clear bowls, stacking them carefully, the wood rough against your fingers. Another maid brushes past, her shoulder knocking yours gently. "Courage," she whispers. Too quiet for anyone else to hear. The word lingers long after she's gone, as though pressed into your skin. Historians disagree on whether solidarity truly softened the hardship of service. Some memoirs recall lifelong friendships forged in kitchens, while others describe jealousy, rivalry, betrayal. Perhaps both lived side by side. In this hall, in this moment, kindness outweighs cruelty, if only barely. Later, as you carry trays back toward the kitchen, the scullery boy darts forward again. He slips you a sliver of bacon, already cold, wrapped in a scrap of paper. "Quick," he whispers. You hesitate, then tuck it into your apron pocket. Your heart beats faster, not only from the taste you will steal later, but from the risk he took. If found, he could be punished. Yet he shared anyway. The weight of the house presses heavy. Bells ringing, tasks endless. But in these flickers of warmth you find something like strength. Evening will bring fatigue, night will bring cold, tomorrow will bring the same rhythm. Yet you will remember the crooked grin, the whispered joke, the muttered courage. They weave threads across the silence, invisible but strong. The hall grows quieter as duties call again, bowls scraped clean, benches emptying. You rise, apron smoothed, tray lifted, work waits above. Still, as you climb the back stair, you carry the warmth with you. The stew in your belly, the word courage in your ear, the bacon hidden against your side. Small things, but in a life measured by bells they matter more than anything. The mistress will never know. The master will never see. But you and the others who scrub and polish and carry together, you build a hidden world sustained by crumbs, by whispers, by fleeting kindnesses. And for now that is enough to move your feet. The butler moves like a shadow with weight. You hear him before you see him, measured steps, heels striking polished wood, steady, deliberate. His presence pulls the air tight, like a thread stretched too far. In every corridor, in every room, you feel it, the certainty that he watches. He appears in the doorway of the servants' hall, tall, dark coat fitted perfectly, hair gleaming with oil. His eyes sweep the room, not lingering long, but never missing. You lower your gaze instantly, hands still, breath caught. Even when he speaks softly, authority coils in his tone. The master wishes the decanters polished before dinner, and the drawing-room fire smoke see to it. He does not say your name. He does not need to. You know he means you. You rise quickly, apron smoothed, cloth in hand. The others shift silently, their bodies moving as if guided by invisible strings. One command, and the hall empties. Work scatters outward, each servant carrying tasks like burdens strapped to their backs. Historians describe butlers as the center of the servant hierarchy, their authority stretched across kitchens and parlors alike, their word second only to the masters. Some memoirs recall them as fair, protective, even paternal. Others describe tyranny, small cruelties, harsh punishments, favoritism that ruined lives. Records cannot agree. All agree on one point. A butler's eye missed nothing. You feel it now as you kneel by the decanters. Glass gleams faintly in the dim light, fingerprints smudging their surfaces. You polish carefully, cloth moving in circles, each mark vanishing under your touch. The butler passes behind you once, his footsteps measured. He does not pause, does not speak, yet you feel his gaze brush your shoulders, sharp as frost. Your hands tremble slightly, cloth squeaking against glass. You polish harder, breath shallow, until the decanters shine like mirrors. Your face appears warped, eyes wide, skin smudged with fatigue. You set them neatly on the sideboard, angles exact, symmetry perfect. If one is even a finger's breadth askew, his eye will see. Later, as you climb the stair with Cole for the drawing room grate, his presence lingers in your mind. The scuttle clinks softly, weight pulling at your arms. You tread carefully, avoiding the boards you know creak. Even in silence you imagine his steps behind you, steady, deliberate, measuring each movement. The fire smokes indeed, its breath curling grey into the air. You kneel, rearranging coal, opening the vent, coaxing flame into steadiness. Smoke stings your eyes, fills your lungs, makes you cough softly. You bite it back, force your breath still. The mistress dislikes noise, the butler dislikes weakness. When the smoke clears, you wipe your hands quickly, retreat from the grate. As you pass the hall, you glimpse him again. He stands near the door, posture straight, eyes scanning. He does not move, yet his presence fills the space. Conversation among the maids drops to whispers, then silence. Even laughter hides when he enters. You wonder sometimes, does he hear whispers through doors? Does he notice the faintest smile, the smallest pause in work? Letters from servants suggest many believed so, swearing that butlers carried eyes in the back of their heads, ears sharper than bells. Some said they knew who stole scraps before the act was done. Others swore they never blinked. You slip past him, tray balanced against your hip. His eyes flick once toward you, then away. No word, no nod. Still, your chest tightens, as though judged. The weight of his gaze changes the shape of the day. Every movement is sharper, cleaner. You smooth your apron again and again, polish brass more fiercely, carry trays more steadily. Fear and pride mingle strangely. To be unseen is safest, yet to be noticed favourably could change everything. References depend on eyes like his. Your future depends on how he remembers you. In the servants' hall later, a murmur rises once he is gone. A maid whispers, "He caught Annie last week." Dust on the stair. Another adds, "Saw him smile once when cook sent up a perfect roast. Swear it was true." Laughter flickers, doubtful, yet hopeful. Even the butler is human, they say, yet the laughter fades quickly, replaced by silence when his steps sound again. You think of the modern listener, lying safe in a bed untouched by hierarchy. Would you endure such a gaze each day, knowing one slip could cost your place? Evening draws closer. The butler moves through the house like a conductor, each servant his instrument, each bell his command. You follow his rhythm, invisible yet choreographed by his eye. Decanters gleam, fires burn bright, boots line the hall in precise order. None will credit you, all will credit him. And so you accept his shadow, his gaze, his silence. The house breathes through his authority, and you are only one thread in the web he spins. Later, alone at the scullery sink, you scrub your hands raw, soap biting into cracks. You stare at your reflection in the water, blurred, shifting, behind it in memory. His eyes linger still, sharp, steady, unblinking. You lower your gaze again, as though he stands behind you. Perhaps he does. Every house has corners that his family never sees. Shadows behind the scullery door, narrow alcoves beneath the stairs, cupboards too small for anything but dust. These are your refuge, if only for minutes stolen between bells. Your body aches from the weight of buckets, the endless scrubbing, the sharp edge of the butler's glance. So you slip into the scullery's shadow when no one is watching. The air here is cool, stone damp against your back. The only sound is the faint drip of water from a pipe overhead, steady as a clock. You sink against the wall, knees drawn up, apron bunched. For a moment your eyes close, breath slows. The smell of coal lingers in your hair, but here at least no voice calls your name. Historians note that rest was a luxury servants rarely knew. Manuals of conduct warned against idleness, insisting maids must find work if none is given. Yet letters hint at corners like this. where girls pressed against stone to stretch sore backs, to hide tears, to steal a crumb of quiet. The truth lies somewhere in between, silence allowed only if unseen. Your fingers trace the floor, rough and cool. A splinter pricks your palm, grounding you. You rub it absently, listening to the muffled hum of the house above. Boots tap across boards, doors click shut, voices murmur. None know you sit here in the dark. None must know. A rat skitters across the far wall, claws scratching. You flinch. Then still, even vermin seek corners to hide. You wonder if you are so different. The seconds stretch. Relief washes through your limbs, heavy, dangerous. If you linger too long, someone will notice. The kitchen maid may wonder why you have not returned. The butler may step through the door, eyes sharp, silence broken. Punishment could follow. Scolding, wages cut, dismissal. A stolen moment is never free. Your heart beats harder, though you remain still. The risk sharpens even the air. It tastes different here, cooler, tinged with dust. You imagine, just for a heartbeat, what it would be to have a corner that was yours by right. A chair by a hearth, a blanket across your knees. Silence chosen instead of stolen. To sit without fear of footsteps approaching. To rest openly, not in shadows. The thought is so strange it almost hurts. A sound jolts you. The faint creak of a door. Close too close. You stiffen, breath caught. Footsteps echo, measured, crossing the flagstones. The butler, the cook. You cannot see. Light shifts faintly, spilling under the scullery door. You press back against the wall, heart pounding, breath shallow. The footsteps fade. Door closing again. Silence returns. Heavier now. Relief crashes through you, sharp as pain. You exhale slowly, trembling. That was too close. You rise, knees stiff, legs unsteady. The corner has given you a moment, but you cannot risk another. Already the bells may be ringing elsewhere. Already someone may be calling your name. You smooth your apron, wipe your damp palms against it. The damp spreads darker, but there is no time to care. You step back into the kitchen, face composed, body moving as though you never paused. Historians disagree on how much servants rebelled against endless labour. Some accounts speak of defiance, moments stolen, rules bent. Others insist obedience was drilled too deep. You feel both truths in your bones, fear pressing, but humanity insisting on pause. The kitchen bustles when you return. The cook barks orders. Knives clatter. Steam rises from the pot. No one looks your way. No one seems to notice your absence. Relief mingles with unease. Did they not see, or do they choose silence? A fellow maid glances briefly, her eyes flicking toward the scullery, then back to her work. She says nothing. A kindness perhaps, or a warning, she knows, but she will not speak. This time, you throw yourself back into tasks, hand steady, cloth moving, pot scrubbed, floors swept, brass polished until it gleams. Your body aches still, but the corner's memory lingers, softening the weight just slightly. Later, as you climb the back stair with a tray, you catch your reflection in a window pane, face pale, hair straggled, eyes ringed with shadows. For a moment you see the scullery's darkness still clinging to you. You blink and it fades, replaced by the house's glow. Another bell rings, sharp, insistent. You move quickly, steps light, the stolen moment folded away inside you like contraband. Hidden corners do not last, but the memory of stillness lingers, fueling your steps, carrying you forward through the endless day. By late afternoon, the air itself feels heavy. Sunlight, such as it is, fades behind fog and soot, leaving the house in a dim glow. Lamps must be trimmed, fires fed, rooms aired once more. Your body, bent since dawn, cries for rest. But the bells do not rest. The first clang comes sharp from the dining room. You startle, nearly dropping the cloth in your hand. You hurry, legs aching, to answer. The mistress wishes for tea. No word of thanks, no glance of acknowledgement, only the expectation that it appears, steaming in its silver pot. You return to the kitchen, hands trembling as you lift the tray. The teapot schools your palms through the cloth, its weight pulling at your arms. The smell of strong leaves rises, bitter, sharp. You climb the stairs carefully, each step pressing pain deeper into your knees. Historians note that servants' days often stretched 16 hours or more. Manuals claimed industriousness was a virtue. Diaries whispered of exhaustion so deep maids fell asleep on their feet. Some households allowed an hour of pause after dinner service, others none at all. The records disagree. What does not disagree is the fatigue that grows now, pressing into every bone. You set the tray on the table, pour the tea, retreat without a word. Your shoulders slump the moment the door closes, yet no sooner have you reached the corridor than another bell rings. The sound slices through the air like a whip. The bells grow crueler as the day lengthens. Morning calls you to begin. Afternoon bells drag you deeper into labour just as strength fades. Each clang reverberates in your skull, a reminder that you do not belong to yourself. You belong to the house. Your hands shake as you polish the last brass knob. Your wrists throb from wringing linen, scrubbing pans, carrying trays. Your feet burn inside damp shoes, soles blistered, fabric rubbing raw. Even your eyes ache, vision blurred slightly by fatigue. You blink hard, forcing clarity. Mistakes lurk in blurred vision. Mistakes bring rebuke. The scullery boy drops a spoon. It clatters on stone. You flinch as though struck, waiting for the cook's wrath, but she only sighs, mutters under her breath, and takes it from him. Even her voice grows softer with fatigue. Everyone droops by late afternoon. The kitchen smells of stew simmering, onions sharp, broth rich. Your stomach twists, though you know it is not for you yet. Dinner service comes first, always first. You carry coal to the drawing room again, scuttle heavy, dust rising. The mistress sits in her chair, shawl draped over her shoulders, book open. She does not look up as you kneel by the grate, feeding the fire until its glow fills the room. Your fingers blacken, nails rimmed with soot. You wipe them quickly on your apron, hoping no mark remains on the carpet. As you rise, the bell rings again. Upstairs this time, you climb swiftly, knees screaming, breath short. The corridor tilts slightly as dizziness swells. You steady yourself against the wall, pretending to adjust your apron. Then you move again faster, as though nothing happened. Some letters from servants describe fainting in corridors, collapsing in kitchens. Some say mistresses offered smelling salts. Others only dismissal. The records cannot agree. You only know the edge of collapse pressing now, the world narrowing with each step. You fetch water, carry trays, polish glass until it glitters. Each task blurs into the next, movements mechanical. Your mind slips, drifting, then jerks back with each clang of the bell. The sound becomes rhythm, heartbeat, whip. The butler's eye catches you once, lingering. You force your spine straight, shoulders back, cloth moving faster. His gaze slides away, but the fear remains, spurring you onward. By the time lamps are lit, your body feels hollowed. The flame wavers as you trim the wick. Hand unsteady, wax dripping on your skin. It burns briefly, sharp, but you do not cry out. Pain is silence too. You glance at the clock in the hall. Its face glows faint in the lamplight. 5:30, hours yet before supper service. Hours yet before the last bell. In the servants' hall, a maid mutters, "Will this day never end?" Her voice is weary, cracked. No one answers. They all know the truth. Days do not end. They only blur into the next. The stew bubbles softly, scent of broth filling the air. You want to sink onto the bench, Close your eyes, let the smell carry you into rest. But the bell rings again. It always rings again. You rise, feet dragging, body pulled forward like a puppet. The house commands, and you obey. Historians sometimes write of the servant's stamina, marveling at how young girls bore such labour. They forget what stamina costs. The bent backs, the twisted hands, the hollow eyes. They forget how fatigue seeps into marrow, until even dreams are heavy. You carry another tray, silver clinking faintly. Your arm shakes, but you steady it. Teeth clenched. You walk carefully as though on ice, each step a struggle against collapse. The corridor stretches endlessly ahead, bells echoing still in your ears. At last you set the tray down, bow, retreat. You lean briefly against the wall, eyes closed, breath slow. Fatigue presses like darkness, but you push it aside, straighten once more. Another bell will come. You must be ready. And so late afternoon drags into evening, each minute thick as mud, each step a test of will. Your body aches, your mind dulls, yet you move still. The bells demand it. The house demands it. And you obey. By evening the house shifts into ritual. Lamps glow in the hall, curtains are drawn tight, and the dining room becomes a stage. Silver gleams under gaslight, crystal glasses shine, and the table is laid with precision sharp enough to cut. Each fork, each knife, each napkin folded to the butler's exact demand. You stand at the edge of it all, invisible yet essential, your hands arranging the world into perfection. The linen cloth is smooth beneath your palms, a faint smell of starch rising as you stretch it tight across the table. Candles flicker in polished holders, their flames trembling in draughts. You set plates one by one, china white with gilt edges, delicate enough that one crack would mean weeks of wages lost. Your breath slows as you place each carefully, the sound of porcelain soft against wood. Historians note Victorian dinners could stretch for hours, multiple courses, wines paired with each dish, conversation flowing as steady as the servant's feet. Manuals insisted on silent service, seamless and discreet. Yet memoirs from servants describe the tension, the weight of standing motionless for hours, the strain of balancing trays heavy with roasts and puddings. You fetch the cutlery next, silver polished until it catches every glimmer of flame. Forks to the left, knives to the right, spoons set above, their order memorized by rote. The butler hovers, eyes sharp, adjusting a glass by a finger's breadth, nodding only when the line satisfies him. You feel his gaze linger, urging perfection. Your stomach knots, but you move steady. The kitchen is a furnace of motion. Pans clatter, ovens roar, the cook shouting orders above the din. Steam rises, carrying scent so rich your head swims, roasted beef dripping fat, potatoes crisping golden, pudding thick with raisins. The smells wrap around you, cruel in their abundance. Your own belly twists, empty since noon, yet you lift the trays without hesitation. You carry the first course into the dining room. The family sits already, voices rising in soft conversation, laughter blooming like flowers. The master lifts his glass, wine catching the light. The mistress smooths her gown, silk shimmering in lamplight. Guests smile, their cheeks flushed from carriage rides, jewels glittering at their throats. You set the dish down gently, bow your head, retreat. The roast gleams, juices pooling, scent thick and heavy. Your mouth waters, but you bite the inside of your cheek, forcing stillness. Hunger is not yours to reveal. The butler signals with a glance. You move again, pouring wine, red liquid swirling into crystal. The glass is cool, smooth, fragile against your fingers. You steady it with care, pour until just the right height. Stop. No drop must spill, no sound must disturb their laughter. Conversation washes over you as you move, words half heard, never meant for your ears. The theatre last night was abysmal, one guest says. Another replies, "Ah, but the costumes magnificent. Their voices rise, fall, weave together like music you cannot join. The plates return, scraped clean, bones bare. You lift them swiftly, balancing 3 at once, arms trembling under the weight. In the kitchen, scraps tumble into buckets, smells rising sharp. A sliver of beef clings to one plate, fat congealed at the edge. You glance once, then turn away quickly. To steal even this would mean punishment. Still, the hunger sharpens, your throat tight with longing. The second course follows. Fish this time, skin crisp, steam curling from white flesh. The smell is lighter, sharp with lemon, herbs clinging to the air. Guests murmur approval, forks clinking softly. You stand behind the mistress's chair, hands folded, waiting for the butler's signal. Your feet ache, arches burning, but you do not shift. Even one step might draw his eye. Historians debate how strictly servants were trained in service. Some manuals insist every movement followed choreography, each dish placed with precision, each glass poured in silence. Others suggest smaller households were less rigid, more forgiving, but in this house precision feels absolute. You are one cog in a machine that must never falter. The third course arrives, pudding dark with spice, steam rising sweet and thick, sauce drips golden, sugar scent filling the air. Guests laugh louder now, wine loosening voices. One sings a line of song, others join in briefly, then laugh again. Their comfort grows with each plate. Yours shrinks with each step. You glance once at the clock. The hands crawl slowly. Hours yet before the table clears. Hours yet before you may eat. Your body rebels quietly. Stomach clenches, feet throb, back stiff from holding still. Yet your face remains smooth, your eyes lowered. To show strain would be to fail. The butler nods again. You move, lifting plates, pouring wine, carrying dishes back and forth in endless rhythm. Each movement flows into the next until time blurs, broken only by bells and signals. At last the final plates vanish. Guests lean back in chairs, sated, voices warm with drink. The master laughs, booming, while the mistress smiles faintly, eyes bright. The butler signals once more, and you step forward, clearing glasses, folding cloth, smoothing the table into silence once again. When the dining room empties, only crumbs remain, scattered like ashes across linen. You sweep them into your hand, toss them into the bucket. Your own hunger flares again, sharp, bitter, but still you wait. Back in the servants' hall, bowls appear at last. Thin stew, bread hard at the crust, a splash of broth. You sit quickly, spoon clutched, swallowing fast. The food is plain, but it fills the hollowness, if only for now, around you. Voices murmur low, too tired for laughter. Fatigue has replaced mirth. You lean back briefly, bench hard beneath you, eyes closing. The smell of roast still lingers in your hair, sweet and cruel, but your stomach eases, your breath slows. The evening service is done. The house glows above, family sated, guests merry. Below, you breathe in silence, strength gathering for what still waits ahead. It happens quickly. So quickly you almost don't believe it's real. A plate slips from your grip, china striking the floor with a crack that echoes louder than bells. Silence follows, sharp, suffocating. Every eye in the dining room turns, head snapping as though pulled by strings. The mistress's lips tighten, the master's brow furrows. Your cheeks burn hot. You drop to your knees instantly, gathering shards with trembling hands. The porcelain bites into your skin, a thin line of red blooming on your finger. You bite your lip to keep from gasping, head bowed low. The butler steps forward, his shadow falling over you. His voice is soft, too soft. Careful, just that. Yet the weight of it presses harder than shouting. You nod quickly, shards clinking as you lift them onto the tray. Historians note accidents were common in houses filled with fragile finery: a dropped glass, a scorched sheet, a stain on polished silver. Manuals insisted servants pay from wages for breakages, though letters reveal punishments varied. Some mistresses scolded and forgave, others dismissed outright, sending girls into the street for one slip. You pray silently as you rise, tray balanced, step steady, despite the tremor in your knees. The butler's eye follows you until you vanish through the door. Only then do you breathe again, air rushing harsh into your lungs. In the scullery, you set the shards aside, blood smearing faintly against porcelain. You plunge your hand into cold water, hiss softly as the sting sharpens. The cut is shallow, but it burns with soap, crimson swirling briefly in foam. You bandage it quickly with a rag torn from your apron. There is no time for weakness. Another bell may ring at any moment. The kitchen clatters around you, but whispers thread through the noise. Saw it myself. Plate smashed clean in two. She'll be out before week's end. The words cut deeper than the porcelain. Rumours spread fast, and once begun, they rarely fade. You keep your head down, scrubbing, wiping, polishing as though nothing happened. Yet your ears strain, catching each murmur, each glance. Fear coils tight in your chest. Later, as you carry wine back to the dining room, another secret brushes your ears. Two guests lean close. Voices hushed yet urgent. Debts mounting. Can't keep the creditors quiet much longer. If the paper finds out, ruin. Their laughter follows quickly, brittle, forced, masking fear. You bow your head lower, tray steady, as though you hear nothing. But you do hear. You always hear. Servants' ears are walls thinner than plaster. You collect fragments of lives, not your own debts, quarrels, infidelities whispered behind doors. Yet you can never speak them. To repeat is betrayal. To ignore is survival. Historians debate how much servants knew of their masters' secrets. Diaries suggest they knew everything. The letters burned, the arguments muffled, the tears behind closed doors. Yet in public they remained silent, carrying truths like weights in their pockets. You feel that weight now, heavier even than the tray in your arms. The master's laugh booms as you set the wine down. His glass clinks against another, cheer bright, as though the whispered debts never existed. The mistress smiles faintly, eyes cool, as though your broken plate never shattered. The illusion is seamless, but you see the cracks, feel them in your skin. Back in the servants' hall, you sink briefly onto the bench, bandaged finger throbbing. A fellow maid leans close, whispering, "Don't fret." Cook says once she dropped a whole tureen of soup. Lived to tell it. Her tone carries comfort, though her eyes betray unease. You nod, grateful though your heart still races. The butler passes the door just then. His eyes sweep the room, lingering on you. You sit straighter, hands folded, breath held. He does not speak, only moves on. Yet his silence feels like a verdict waiting to fall. The hall grows louder once he is gone. Another maid whispers, "Saw the mistress's face cold as stone." Someone else adds, "Best keep your head low this week." The words knot in your stomach. Heavy. You rise quickly, fetch a cloth, return to work. Scrub, polish, sweep. If your hands are busy, perhaps whispers will fade. If your body never falters, perhaps the butler's eye will soften. Perhaps. But secrets cling. As you polish a candlestick, its brass glowing, you hear again the guest's voice in your mind. Debts mounting, creditors, ruin. The candlestick gleams flawless, but your thoughts blur with cracks unseen. Would you tell if you could? If you whispered truth to the world, would it change anything, or would it only ruin you? You bite your lip, cloth squeaking against brass. Silence is safer, always safer. The evening drags on, service continuing. Plates in, plates out, wine poured, laughter rising. Each movement precise, each step careful. Yet beneath it all, hums the memory of shards biting your skin, of secrets whispered through careless mouths. By the time the last dish is cleared, your body aches with more than fatigue. Fear lingers sharp, a stone in your chest. You carry it with you as you descend the back stair, tray empty, hands trembling still. The house glows above, guests sated, laughter echoing. Below you move through shadow, carrying silence, carrying secrets, carrying the memory of porcelain breaking like your own breath. The dining room laughter fades, doors closing one by one, but your work is not done. The mistress frowns at the chill creeping into the drawing room, and the butler orders more coal, his eyes cut toward you. See to it. No more words. You fetch the scuttle, iron cold against your palms, its handle biting into raw skin. The back door groans as you push it open, a gust of night air rushing in, damp and sharp. Fog curls low over the yard, heavy with the smell of smoke and horse dung drifting from the street beyond. The warmth of the house slips away behind you. The yard is dark, lit only by the faint glow of a lamp swinging on its hook. Shadows stretch long across stone, broken by the shape of the coal shed at the far wall. You step carefully, skirts brushing damp ground, shoes sinking into mud where rain has pooled. The silence out here is heavier than the noise inside, broken only by the drip of water from the eaves. You lift the latch of the shed, wood rough beneath your fingers. The door groans open, releasing the sharp, dusty scent of coal. It fills your nose, clings to your tongue, thick and bitter. Inside, black lumps glisten faintly, stacked high, edges jagged like teeth. You kneel, scuttle set before you, and begin to shovel. Each scoop scrapes loud against stone, coal tumbling heavy into the bucket. Dust rises, choking, clinging to your hair, your apron, your lungs. Historians note coal was the lifeblood of Victorian homes, fuel for heat, for cooking, for boiling endless water. Deliveries arrived weekly, men carrying sacks on bent shoulders, spilling dust across pavement and cellar. Yet servants bore the weight daily, hauling scuttles up and down stairs, feeding fires that never stayed fed. Some records describe skin cracked and blackened, lungs weakened by dust. Others pass it over entirely, as though coal appeared by magic. You feel the truth in your back as you lift the scuttle. Heavy now, iron biting harder. The weight pulls at your arms, your spine straining. You step backward, stumbling slightly on slick ground, steadying with a breath. The fog presses close, swallowing the faint glow of the lamp. For a moment, the shed looms behind you like a mouth ready to close. The door bangs faintly in the wind. You glance back, heart lurching. Only wood, only shadow. Still you hurry, scuttle banging against your leg, dust marking your skirt. A sound drifts faint through the fog, the clatter of wheels on cobblestone, a man's cough, a laugh too sharp. Somewhere beyond the wall, London moves on, restless, sleepless. You shiver, clutch the scuttle tighter, hurry for the door. Inside, warmth hits you again, though only faint, pressed low in the servants' hall. The contrast makes your skin sting, damp fabric chilling as it meets fire's glow. You carry the scuttle upward, each stair a test, coal shifting heavy with every step. Your shoulders burn, knees wobble, breath ragged. Still you climb, silent, unseen. At the drawing room, the butler opens the door just enough for you to enter. The family sits still, voices low, wine glasses glowing ruby in lamplight. Their comfort depends on the fire's steady glow. You kneel by the grate, emptying coal one lump at a time, arranging it neat so flame catches quickly. Dust swirls black against polished white hearth. You wipe it swiftly with your apron, then rise, bow your head, retreat. They do not look at you. The fire crackles bright. Laughter resumes. Your presence dissolves into air. Back downstairs, your chest aches from the weight, dust scratching your throat. You wash your hands quickly, but black lingers in the cracks of your skin, under nails in the lines of your palms. Water swirls grey, never fully clear. You wipe them on your apron, already streaked dark. Another order may come. More coal, more water, more wood for kindling. Night offers no reprieve. The house must burn bright while the family wakes. Only when they sleep may shadows return. Historians disagree whether servants feared the night more outside or inside. Some memoirs describe yards thick with fog, thieves lurking, rats scurrying, fear pressing with every step. Others speak of dread within, the endless bells, the silence demanded even as exhaustion hollowed the body. For you, both weigh heavy. The fog still clings to your hair. The bell may still ring at any moment. You sink briefly onto the bench, scuttle set aside. The kitchen fire glows low, casting the room in soft amber. Another maid dozes briefly, head on her arms until the cook snaps her awake with a mutter. You stare at the flames, imagining the coal still in your arms, the dust in your lungs. Tomorrow the same weight will wait. The shed will never empty. A sudden crash startles you. A pan slipped from the scullery boy's hands, clattering loud. He freezes, wide-eyed, then stoops quickly to retrieve it. The cook's sigh follows, weary, her anger softened by fatigue. You feel the same weariness, heavy, endless. The butler's steps sound again overhead. The house is not finished yet. Neither are you. You rise, smoothing your apron, shoulders aching still. Night has only begun. By the time the last glass is dried and the silver sleeps in its drawer, the house above softens into a hush. Gas mantles sigh. The grand clock in the hall clears its throat and counts the hour. Below, a different clock begins, stomachs remembering there is a meal for you at last, if only a thin one. You follow the scent down the passage. Onion and bone, steam and stale bread, a promise so modest it feels like mercy. The servants' hall is warmer than it has any right to be. Fire settles in the small grate, throwing a humble bloom of heat across long scarred tables. Benches wait, each nick and gouge a history written in wood. Boots line the skirting like sleepy soldiers. You slide in at your place, apron loosened a notch, fingers still black under the nails however much you scrubbed. The cook sets down the pot with a satisfied thud. Stew tonight, turnip holding hands with barley. A shadow of beef, its spirit more than its flesh. Bowls move hand to hand with a soft clatter. Steam climbs your face and fogs your lashes. Your spoon dips. You swallow too fast. You do not care. Salt blooms on your tongue. Heat spreads from throat to chest, and your shoulders, out of habit, finally fall a fraction. You taste onion first, then the memory of marrow. The broth is thin enough to see your spoon through it, but it is hot, and it is yours. At the head of the table, the butler sits, back iron straight even in weariness. He nods once. In some houses, a formal grace is required, the words polished as the decanters. In others, none is said at all. Records disagree about how strictly ritual held sway, but this house splits the difference. His pause is a kind of blessing, a quiet that permits the first spoonful. A footman coughs into his sleeve. The kitchen maid slices bread with quick, competent strokes, then palms the two thinnest heels your way without looking. You catch her eye. Gratitude passes like a spark that does not need flame. Historians write that many servants took their principal meal late. After the family's dinner, stews, suet puddings, yesterday's potatoes resurrected in fat, hash of leftovers when luck turned kindly. Some households issued ale rations or small beer low in strength. Others forbade it entirely. Anxious at the thought of loosened tongues, let us argue both sides. Tonight there's only tea, tannic, re-steeped, the colour of shoe leather, but hot enough to pinch the throat. You cradle the mug in both hands, grateful for heat more than flavour. The hall speaks in murmurs, too tired for laughter to clatter loudly, but not so tired that it cannot exist. The scullery boy stifles a yawn so wide you can hear his jaw click. Beside you, a housemaid darns a sock between mouthfuls. needle nibbling at wall with tiny metallic kisses. She shows you the thin place on the heel, third time, and smiles without teeth. On the mantel, a crooked wooden butter stamp leans where someone set it to dry, its little thistle carved soft with use, quirky, almost tender, an emblem that turns fat into order. You break your bread and dip it, let it drink from the bowl until it surrenders, then press it to your tongue. It tastes faintly of the cupboard, flour and the ghost of caraway from a bag stored nearby. You think of the modern listener for a heartbeat, their kitchen light humming, toast in an instant, butter from a cold box with a door that sighs. Here, bread lives in a tin with a wary latch, a safe meant as much for rats as for hands, too tempted when nights run long. Stories unspool in the low light. Someone recalls a cook who could make suet dumplings float like clouds. Someone else swears theirs sank like cannonballs and chipped a molar. A footman tells a gentler tale. His sister's letter says the hedgerows beyond the city are already fuzzy with blackthorn bloom. For a moment the hall smells of spring imagined, not steam and tallow. You feel the knot behind your ribs loosen another inch. Heat, salt, talk. The trinity that persuades the body it can continue. A small drama flickers, quick as a match. The scullery boy, thinking no one sees, sets a spoon on its edge to catch the last slick of fat from the lip of the pot. The cook notices, one eyebrow climbs. Then, with a sigh that's more wind than weather, she tilts the pot and lets the gleams slide toward his spoon. "Mind you wash that up proper," she mutters, the scold wrapped in permission. He nods so hard the hair flops from his brow. Solidarity disguised as discipline, one of the hall's older dialects. You reach for the salt, and find it tethered to the table by a thin length of twine, a practice some houses adopt to keep small things from wandering. Necessary? Petty? Who can say? You turn the little cellar in your fingers, grains tap like distant rain, a quirky anchor in a room that floats on weariness. Some say the servants' hall is always a refuge, others say it's another stage, the butler's eye a lighthouse that sweeps even here. You feel both truths. When he clears his throat, conversation lowers by a seam. When he glances at a loaf not sliced square, the knife corrects its line. And yet when he lifts his own mug and says, almost human, cold in the yard tonight, you see the coal dust in the whorls of his nails too, however much he polishes them away. Second helpings come as a vote taken without hands. The pot says yes if there's anything left. Tonight it says perhaps, and your spoon finds a carrot stub, a barley pearl that catches between your teeth. You bite, swallow, and feel the engine within you catch again. If you lived upstairs, would food mean comfort alone? Here it is, fuel measured in spoons and minutes, the arithmetic of endurance. You think of the bacon tucked earlier into your apron, the secret given by a boy with quick hands and quicker eyes. You will not eat it here, under the butler's weather. Later, maybe, a midnight bite when the house dims to a low hum and the bellboard sleeps. Just knowing it waits changes something in your chest. Tomorrow always feels less impossible when the pocket holds a promise. Around you, repair begins. A cuff button is coaxed back to life with thread and patience. Someone rubs tallow into cracked knuckles. The smell waxy sweet. A poor man's salve. Another ghosts a damp cloth over her boots to trick the lamplight into seeing polish. The peculiar, forgotten detail. A handful of damp tea leaves sprinkled on the floor and swept up to tease the dust from boards. An old housekeeper's trick that leaves a faint tannin scent and a slightly tacky clean underfoot. Little magics of the trade, ordinary as breathing. A clock somewhere down the passage offers its quarter hour in gentle clicks. You realize how late it is. Time thins across the bones when food sits warm. There's a contested memory among the older servants. Was there once a house where after supper the master allowed a half hour of music in the hall? A tune on a battered fiddle. A hymn hummed soft? Letters hint at such mercies here and there. Others deny them with a laugh and a shake of the head. Tonight there is no fiddle, but a low humming finds its way along the table anyway. One voice, then two, not a song so much as a shared exhale. It threads through the steam and the scrape of spoons and makes the bench feel for a breath like a pew. Clearing begins almost before the last bowl's empty. Habit moves you. Knives stacked spine to spine, spoons nested, bowls balanced in a high, wobbling tower. Water waits in the scullery, cold first, then hot, and your hands will find it in a minute. You stand and the bench complains softly at losing your weight. When you lift your bowl, the bottom is warm. A small sun you tuck briefly into your palms before you give it back to washing and to work. At the door you pause, catch the cook's eye. She nods toward the pot's heel. 2 carrots, 1 pale slab of turnip resigned to be yours. You tip them into your bowl and swallow without ceremony, grinning through your gratitude. Not a feast. Enough. The hall exhales. Benches push back. The butler rises. The hall rises after him like surf following a moon. He leaves without drama, and the room feels briefly larger. Someone chuckles at nothing. Someone says, "Courage," the word tacking itself to the end of the meal like a button at the cuff. You step into the passage and the house's cooler breath kisses your face. The stew sits warm in your belly like a small, friendly stone. Strength returns not as a shout, but as the ability to climb another stair, to answer another bell, to hold another silence without shattering. You carry your bowl to the sink and lower it into the flat, bright water. Fat blooms in circles. You chase it with a brush until the circles give up and slip away. Your hands are red, mapped with cracks. The hot rinse gnaws at them, and the pain is almost satisfying because it means you are not numb yet. Above, the family's world has already turned to books, to cards, to gentle yawns. Below, the long night begins its slow unfold. Supper is finished. What it gave you was not fullness, but a truce, a brief armistice between labour and the body that must do it. You dry your hands on a rag, tuck the word courage into your pocket beside the secret bacon, and turn toward the bellboard's quiet. For a moment, the house and the hall and your own chest breathe in the same rhythm. Then, softly, you begin again. Midnight arrives softly, though no one names it aloud. The grand clock in the hall tolls 12, its sound sinking deep into the wood and stone of the house. Upstairs, silence spreads, heavy with sleep. Below, silence has a different flavour. Not rest, but the careful quiet of those still moving, still tending, waiting for the last task to vanish. Your shoes scrape faintly on stone as you carry the lamp. Its glass chimney smudges under your fingers, wick trimmed low, flame glowing steady but dim. You move from room to room, closing shutters, checking locks, lowering flames until shadows press thick. The mistress must never wake to find a lamp still burning. Waste is sin, carelessness worse. The drawing room smells of ash and perfume. The fire burns low, embers pulsing red. You stoop, poker in hand, arranging coal so it smoulders through the night. Not too much, not too little, just enough for warmth when they wake again. Your eyelids droop with the fire, threatening to close, but you blink hard, straighten, move on. Historians note that Victorian servants often worked until after midnight. Some households kept one maid on call, listening for bells even in the dark. Others required rounds through the night, checking fires, doors, lamps. Records disagree on how many hours of sleep they truly had. What they do agree on the day was rarely less than 16 hours, and sometimes stretched to 20. You feel every hour now in your bones. Your feet throb as though stones rest in your shoes. Your back curves forward, shoulders stiff from coal, water, trays. Even your fingers ache, raw from soap and brass, polish. Each breath tastes of fatigue, thick as dust. The corridor feels endless in the dim lamp glow. Portraits hang heavy on the walls, their painted eyes following your steps. You imagine them whispering, though no sound rises. Only the clock ticks, steady, relentless, slicing the night into thin ribbons. You pause briefly in the servants' hall. The benches are empty now, bowls washed, hearth gone quiet. Only a faint scent of stew lingers, mixed with smoke and damp wool. A scullery boy curls in the corner on a sack of rags, mouth open in sleep. His breath whistles faintly, a sound both innocent and weary. You do not wake him. His rest is a rare mercy. The butler passes once, silent as shadow. His candle throws long lines on the wall, his coat dark, his steps precise. He nods once, barely, as he glides past. Even at this hour his posture is perfect, as though fatigue has no claim on him. Yet you see the hollows beneath his eyes, the stiffness in his stride. Authority does not spare him from hours. It only hides the cost. You move on. The scullery stinks of damp copper cooling, floors slick with the day's spills. You wring one last cloth, hang it across the line, watch drops patter into a bucket. The sound is soothing, hypnotic. For a heartbeat, your head nods forward, body swaying. You catch yourself with a start, heart thumping. Sleep is dangerous while work remains. A strange quiet settles. No bells ring now, not even faint. You almost mistrust it, waiting for the sharp clang to tear the silence again. Yet none comes. The board above the scullery door is still, its wires resting. Relief slides into you, thin but warm. Still, duty remains. You climb once more, lamp steady in your hand. The stair groans underfoot, but the house does not stir. The family sleeps, their dreams wrapped in velvet and feather. You walk their halls unseen, your shadow bending across rugs, your breath soft against closed doors. You pause by a window. Fog presses outside, silver in the moonlight. London dim beneath it. Gas lamps glow faint through the haze. Carriages long gone. Streets nearly empty. The city itself seems asleep, though somewhere in the East End songs still rise, laughter spilling from taverns. You imagine the sound drifting faint through fog, reaching even here softened to nothing more than a hum. A candle gutters in the corridor sconce. You snuff it quickly, scent of smoke curling upward. Darkness thickens, broken only by your lamp. You move faster, eager now to finish, to slip toward bed before the clock strikes again. Historians suggest some servants collapsed into sleep still in uniform, too tired to undress. Others wrote of secret letters scribbled by candle stub, stolen minutes for themselves even in exhaustion. You wonder which you will choose tonight, collapse or the risk of stealing a scrap of self. The last room waits. The mistress's chamber. You step softly, lamp low, checking that shutters are closed, fire safe, water fresh. She lies still beneath embroidered covers, face pale in lamplight. You bow your head though she does not see, then withdraw as silent as you came. Back in the servants' hall, the scullery boy stirs faintly, mutters in his sleep. You set your lamp down, its flame flickering weakly, glass glowing amber. The hall breathes quiet now. Only your footsteps, only your breath, only the faint hiss of dying coals. At last you loosen your apron, fold it on the bench. Your fingers fumble with ties, clumsy from weariness. You sit briefly, head in your hands. The silence is immense, pressing, but it feels like safety too. No bells, no voices, only the sound of your own heart, steady, slower now. The house above sleeps. The house below breathes. And you, caught between, drift toward the promise of rest that feels more dream than fact. The last bell never rings. That is how you know the day is done. Silence holds steady at last, and the house above sinks into velvet dreams. Below you move slowly toward the dormitory, body heavy, eyes burning. Your shoes scuff against stone. Your limbs feel as though stuffed with sand. Each step up the narrow stair is a small act of defiance against exhaustion. The attic corridor is low and close, rafters pressing down. A draught sneaks through cracks, stirring the candle flame in your hand. Shadows leap across the slanted ceiling, warped by beams blackened with age. The air smells of dust, soap still clinging to your sleeves. coal dust embedded in your hair. You push open the door. The room exhales warmth and cold at once, warm from the press of bodies, cold from stone and night wind slipping through tiles. Beds line the walls, narrow iron frames, mattresses thin and sagging, straw or horsehair poking through. A blanket apiece, grey and scratchy, folded with military precision. Historians note that servant sleeping quarters varied widely. In some houses, a maid might share a small attic room with one other. In others, half a dozen crowded together, beds so narrow shoulders brushed. Records hint at damp creeping through, walls sweating in winter, frost blooming on panes. Letters describe rats skittering across floorboards, even nibbling bread tucked beneath pillows. Few mention comfort. You cross the room quietly, nodding once to the others already lying down. Some breathe deep already, sleep claimed before their heads even touched straw. Others shift, murmur, eyes half open before closing again. Privacy does not exist here. Only the shared rhythm of breath, the occasional cough, the creak of bed frames when someone turns. You set your candle on the sill, its flame guttering in draught. Fingers fumble with laces, tugging shoes free. Your feet sigh with relief. Though blisters throb raw against leather, stockings stick to skin, damp with sweat, and you peel them away, folding them neat because habit rules even here. The blanket scratches your cheek as you slide beneath it. The mattress dips, straw crunching faintly. You curl tight, knees to chest, making your body small against the night's chill. Breath fogs faintly in the air. You tuck the blanket closer. A maid beside you shifts, whispering into the dark, long day. Her voice is threadbare, but her hand brushes yours briefly. Warmth against rough skin, solidarity in the dark. You whisper back, always, though your words fade quickly into her breathing. Soon she is asleep, chest rising steady, the sound soft as tide. The room fills with the chorus of exhaustion. Breaths in and out, some slow, some catching, a snore here, a sigh there. The rhythm soothes you, a lullaby of fatigue. Your own lungs fall into step, each breath heavier, slower. You stare at the ceiling, eyes tracing the beams. Splinters jut, cobwebs shiver faintly in draught. In the corner, a mouse darts, tiny claws tapping wood. The sound should bother you, but it only feels like part of the night's song. Life that continues, even here. Historians disagree about whether servants dreamed of escape or simply of sleep. Diaries recall longings of marriage, of cottages, of freedom. Others mention only the relief of closing eyes, of muscles loosening for a few hours. You feel both now, the hunger for tomorrow to be different, and the desperate need to surrender to this one's end. Your hands ache still, cut raw from porcelain and soap. You hold them against your chest, feeling your own heartbeat steady beneath them. The blanket smells faintly of lye, washed too rarely, yet it is warm enough. You breathe deeper, the day finally slipping. Through the thin wall, you hear the city hum faintly. A cart rattles, a drunkard sings a broken tune, a dog barks sharp then stops. London does not sleep entirely, but it sleeps more than it wakes. Inside the attic, your world narrows to straw, blanket, and breath. You think of the bacon still tucked away, saved for morning, a secret gift that makes tomorrow less cruel. You think of the broken plate, of the mistress's glove, of the steam of laundry, and the fog of market. They swirl together, blurred already, the details softening. Soon they will dissolve into dreams. The last thing you feel before sleep takes you is the weight of the blanket pressing firm, anchoring you against the chill. And the last thing you hear is the steady breath of those around you, your companions, your fellows in labour, your fragile net of safety in a world that does not see you. So you close your eyes. The dormitory breath carries you under. You're safe now. The house grows distant, its bells fading, its stairways empty, its coal fires banked. No buckets to lift, no brass to polish. No voices to answer, only stillness, only rest. Breathe slowly, in and out. Each breath eases the ache of hours. Shoulders sink deeper into the mattress. Fingers loosen. No cloth to grip. No tray to steady. The air is calm, soft against your cheek, carrying no scent of soap or smoke, only quiet. The long day folds behind you like a door shutting gently. Its weight drifts away. What remains is warmth, steady and certain, wrapping you like the thickest of blankets. The echoes of footsteps soften into nothing. The sharp clang of bells is only memory now, dissolving like mist at dawn. You hear, faintly, the rhythm of sleep around you, steady breaths, soft sighs, bodies at peace. That rhythm joins your own, guiding you lower, slower. You don't need to hold anything anymore. You don't need to listen for commands. Every part of you is allowed to rest. Imagine the glow of a single ember, pulsing gently in the dark. Its warmth spreads outward, filling the space with comfort. With each breath, the ember fades softer, dimmer, until it is only warmth, only calm. Time stretches long, unbroken. No tasks wait here. No one calls your name. You are held in stillness, weightless, untouchable. Let your eyes close. Let the world behind you blur into quiet shadows. Let your breath settle deeper, slower, steady as the tide. You're safe now. The story is finished. The day is over. Rest carries you gently into its keeping. Sweet dreams.